Trump's got ratings like he's never had before. Egg prices are down. Tariff is bringing revenues like we've never seen before. $21.7 billion, $22 billion in a month, more than ever before. We've never seen tariff revenue like this.
Is the deficit lowering?
Deficit is not necessarily lowering yet, but tariff revenue. You need revenue coming in. Revenue's increasing from tariffs.
You support his tariff war?
I for sure support us getting more tariff revenue coming in.
I agree with that, but no, that's not what I asked.
Tariff war never was a tariff war.
His
always a
plan
negotiation.
Going after everybody instead of just China.
I do like that he did that, and for me it was and the reason for that is the following reason. Trump is a guy that knows how to create peer pressure for people to take action. Trump's the type of guy that he'll sit in a room and he'll say something. It's like, so, what's your show ranked? Oh, you know he's beating you, right? So, how do you feel about the fact that his show's beating you? I saw your viewership was down last week, Stephen A. What happened with you? By the way, who's this guy with the new podcast series that's beating you? Is he going to take over? That's how he is. But if you're the only person in the room, he can't do that to you because you're China.
Yeah.
So he needs all these other guys in there to go like this. That's his style. Doesn't mean it works with everybody.
What about disruption of the market? What about the fact that you are coming across so haphazard that the market doesn't know what to do, and as a result, it gets people to be afraid to invest and fuel and stir the system?
Can you tell me why the market is doing good? Can you tell me why numbers are looking good?
I'm not challenging. I'm asking. I'm genuinely asking this question because I don't know.
Yeah, but the
market's good.
The question
Egg prices are down.
For me,
gas is
when
down.
I look at enemies around
Projection
the world,
is that inflation actually is coming down.
For America.
China's
number one. Iran.
Russia.
Who's your third? I don't even know if I put Russia number 3.
Really?
I think Russia's top 5.
Okay.
But I don't know if I put number 3. But I know for a fact China and Iran are top 2.
I put Iran's first. China's a competitor, not a friend.
I'm not saying Mexico, but some would because of the borders.
Sure. But
some would.
But watch
some
this.
would.
Okay.
So when we say China and Iran, and I saw what you did last summer. You know, what's that movie?
I know what you did last summer.
I know what you did last, election 2020 with COVID and all that stuff. I don't trust China. I'm going to expose the hell out of them. Look what happened. 60 million iPhones were being produced and manufactured in China. That moved to India. Now he's trying to bring that to U.S. a little bit. You think China's not experiencing a little bit of a downfall right now? The challenges they're facing?
Well, we're one of the top 2 consumers.
I don't have any problem with what happened with tariff.
With China, I don't.
The concern I have now, look what he did with Canada. It's like, look, you guys don't spend a lot of money on military. I'm willing to give you a golden dome. You pay $68 billion.
Stephen A. is learning
I'll take care of you
on
as
the
well.
fly, ain't he?
The 51st state.
Shout out to Stephen
all
A.
this pushing and all these things that he's doing.
Hey, if
He's
you're
a
new to the
massive
channel, go ahead and
disruptor.
subscribe. You're
But
on the
the
grind
data's
with Johnny
showing
Caruso.
he's making progress.
I'm your host.
You
You're on the
can say a
grind with
lot of things you
Political
want to say.
Decode.
The average
And I'm
person
Johnny
goes
Caruso,
to the
your host.
market
Let's get these
to
numbers
buy
up.
some eggs for their kids. Last year was $6.55. This year's $2.52. The average person, and that's bottom
Look at the
80%.
chart.
Bottom 80% is not sitting there asking about tariffs. Bottom 80% is saying, why is a dozen eggs now $2.55? Why are gas prices down? That's what the bottom 80% is saying.
So gas prices are down, prices of eggs are down, and the media has been ignoring it.
Of course the media's been ignoring it. Why would they be celebrating these types of things?
Yeah.
Media wouldn't be celebrating this.
Look, what people like Stephen A. Smith, new to politics, don't get is that 100%, maybe 95% of the media is against any Republican win or agenda. So they're going to be against it. So when he takes the headline bait and said it's a tariff war or it's this or it's that, he doesn't understand that it could be raining money outside. And the media will say, well, Trump didn't give them big enough bowls to collect all the money. And now he's just teasing them. You know what I mean? Like, I think you have to be a Democrat and then have pulled the veil over, like Wizard of Oz, and been on the other side and being able to see actually what the Democrats are doing before you can really respect. Because I'm 44 years old. when I was early 20s Republican. George Bush all the way. Then I got hit in the heart with damn, there really wasn't weapons of mass destruction. And the captain I worked for at the time in the oil field, he was like, yeah, well, we like Republicans, but they do some effed up shit too, he said. So he had me thinking, okay. Then in my head, Republicans are for the rich, Johnny. If you're poor, you shouldn't be voting Republicans. I'm like, okay. Maybe I'm on the wrong side of things here because I'm a poor man, so what the hell am I voting for the rich for? Oh, Republicans are racist. So then I went to the Democrat train. I predicted Obama would win and win again. I won $250 off that bet with that captain. And to me, it was just like, who was the guy? Who was the guy Obama ran against? Tall white guy. You don't even hardly see him in politics anymore. But I knew that guy wasn't popular. Like, one thing about being a president, you gotta look like somebody Americans would go have a beer with. That's really the bottom line. That's where the majority of the votes go. If we can't invite you to the party, if you don't look like you'll be no fun, and say what you want about Trump being a racist, everybody in the hood would love to have Trump at their party because they know he'd be a lot of fun. And I hate to say it, that's really what it boils down to with who's going to be president. I predicted every president from Ronald Reagan. The one I did get wrong was I had which one I got wrong? I had Hillary beating Trump because I was sink, line, and hooker. Trump's a racist, this and that. I had Hillary beating him. And so in 2016, when Trump won the first time, I was like, damn. So that really kind of made me think, well, what the hell is going on? Because I was all sink and ladder with the Russian collusion. Well, look at how many people in this circle they've arrested. I had no idea that it's not just politicians. The Democrats, they control the judges. They control the whole thing. So when they control the prosecutors. So when they bring these charges against Trump, you have to understand that 9 times out of 10, it is political. It is like, it's a dirty political game. And if you don't think the next Republican won't have charges bring against him, right when he gets poll numbers, won't have rape allegations against him, won't be called a rich man, white man, a racist. If you don't think this won't happen to a J.D. Vance, even a Vivek who's not even white, a Ron DeSantis, if you don't think this will happen to Marco Rubio, who's not white, yes, they're gonna try the same game. But the cool thing is, you guys are up on it. You come here to On the Grind with Political Decode and other social media outlets now to get a better. We're not trying to tell you how to vote, but we're trying to broaden your horizon on what you thought before and let you see you was looking through a narrow tunnel of clickbait headlines where everybody was saying the same thing. Now you kind of get idea from all sides to make your own decision. This is pretty interesting what they're saying here. I don't know if I'll be able to continue this video longer, but we'll see. But hey, if you didn't do so already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But yeah, everything is shaping up for our economy, looking good. And I think the economy is only going to get better. You got to understand, when gas comes down, that fuels the whole economy because it's the energy that makes everything, right? Your house. You're like, well, what's gas got to do with a house? Well, okay. The machines, they cut down the trees. It runs off of gas. If those machines cost more to run, that lumber is going to be more expensive. Then you put the lumber on the 18-wheeler trucks and ship it from California to Florida. The cost of transportation is going to be more expensive. So the cost to build a house now, before it even gets sold, the people building a house to go buy the lumber and everything, it's going to be more expensive. That means the house has to be more expensive, right? And definitely we need inflation to come down to get those interest rates down, and it's all going to happen. All right.
But it's so embarrassing now that even Harry Enton on CNN is saying this, and he says, I don't understand why his popularity is going higher.
He's shocked.
They don't understand why is his popularity going higher. They're confused.
Are you
Popularity
guys
is going
concerned?
higher because they're propaganda.
Again, I'm asking questions here, even though I know you guys are
doesn't
interviewing
have
me,
the
but I'm just
effect
curious
it
because
used
I want to learn.
have.
Are you guys concerned at all about the enemy being primarily within? Meaning the destructive tendency, like for right now, we just saw in Boulder, Colorado, somebody throw, I don't know if it was a Molotov cocktail or whatever at a crowd.
13 people,
You know,
55 to 88 years old.
pro-Israel,
Right.
pro-Israel supporters. We see the Israeli, I don't call it even the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I call it the Israeli-Hamas conflict because of what Hamas did in 2023 on October 7th. I see all of that stuff, but I also see a whole bunch of protesters in the streets of America. And we see
That's
the
the
Jewish
business
community highlighting the issue of anti-Semitism's proliferation in this country.
Sure.
And it seems to be getting more and more chaotic by the week. Any concern about that at all when we're thinking about the kind of issues that we're discussing?
Let me ask you this. Right now, with Trump having the victories that he's having, what are your deceptive ways to disrupt him with the momentum that he has? Because if you're part of the Democratic Party, you know what your record is right now?
Something.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell it is.
What are the worst NBA records of all time? Was it the Pistons? Who was it? There's a couple teams that had these terrible 13 and,
Pistons 2 years ago were trash.
69 type of
this was
record,
brutal.
right?
Cade Cunningham.
This
This
was
has
This
lost
is-
28 straight games a couple of years
That's
ago.
right. Oh, there you go.
Last
Charlotte.
year.
Holy shit. Okay, Philadelphia
Charlotte.
76ers. Damn.
That was 20 and 12. Lockout, not lockout, but yeah.
Look at 16, 10 and 72 Philadelphia. Let's just say that's the one to go with, right? 10 and 72. Holy shit. That's the Democratic Party right now. They're getting their asses handed to them. So guess what you need to do? I remember one time I'm walking with one of the NBA owners. You know who he is. And, and I said, so how are you guys going to beat the Golden State Warriors? He winks. He says, all we need is an ankle injury.
If you want to learn how to edit really well from professional Hollywood editors, we're going to show you the stuff that nobody else is teaching.
And by the way, this is a pretty well-known owner. Like, what a dark motherfucker. That's all we need, man.
One little
this is how this
slip
works.
is
So
all
you
the other
freaking
party
kidding me?
needs
Says
to
all you
edge
need is an
ahead.
ankle injury.
Any
They're
And we'll get past it.
manipulating
Okay?
the popular narrative.
So guess
It's
what they
the
need
popular
right now?
narrative.
They need an
They're-
ankle
both
injury.
sides are trying
What's
to
an
control.
ankle injury? If
Manipulate the popular
Russia, these guys
narrative
go at it.
by a
Shit
couple
hits the
percent
fan.
points.
He
Who
said he
looks
was
bad?
going to
The
stop the
final
war, and he
vote.
hasn't.
Exactly. Who looks
But
bad?
If the
When the popular
Israeli-Hamas conflict
people
continues,
Who looks bad?
who said that he was going to
Who
fix
looks
it?
bad? That's the point.
that narrative.
So if
is
I'm the
BS.
Democratic Party and I can't win here with policies, I have to show that this
Alright,
guy has
no.
nothing under control. I can't go in the 2016 model with, the 2020, the protesting, Black Lives Matter, all this stuff. We've already played that card. That's not going to work. I can't go through the insurrection. I can't do the COVID.
It would make 'em look
Let's start a
bad.
war and talk about this is the president that said he was a president of peace.
Bingo.
He's the president of war.
That's
You
it.
know how Democrats would run with that like this? Game over. How does he
That's not
rebuttal
game
that?
over. That's not going to affect him.
You don't think it
Well,
will?
for the midterms leading up?
Let me explain why.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you have to deal with what you're doing in this country if you're a Democrat. When you're making the argument against him, yes, we don't like what we're seeing going on with Israel and Hamas. No, we don't like what we see going on with Ukraine and Russia. But what's going on here? And what role did you play in what's going on here? Because he's going to have a rebuttal to that argument. Now it gets a bit dicey. That's why the midterms are so pivotal. See, if the Democrats win seats in the House and the Senate in 2026, and they gain some power, now they have the power to disrupt and get in his way, as opposed to just whistling into the wind. And then all of a sudden, the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, the Jasmine Crockett's, and others, now it becomes a bit more formidable. Blumenthal as well, and others, it gets a bit more formidable because he's going to need stuff passed in order to get things done. You can't rely on just executive orders. You actually have to govern, and you got to go across the aisle. And that's going to be a challenge. So anything that he's doing right now, he has to make sure he's doing it to ensure that he's going to win. He's going to help his party
You're right.
win, The midterm.
Just gonna push back on Stephen A. a little bit. The whole, you need votes to reach across the aisle and get things done. What the Democrat model has taught the Republican, which is why Trump he had some experience, but now he knows what he's doing in his first 3 months, 4 or 5 months now, to be able to get so much done. He took the Democrat model of, hey, we don't need Republicans to allow all these illegals into the country and secure their votes, right? We can just, with executive order, create this V21 visa app, allow them to come in, send them a social security number, and give them work permits. Now they become a significant part of our voting blocks. And even if they're not voting, it increases the census no matter what, and it gives us more electoral votes. There's a lot that happen when they let, roughly 10 million to 20 million people into the country in 4 years. And they were just going to keep doing it and doing it. Yes, it takes away your resources at that rate, and it kills. There's no way jobs are going to go up when you got all these people coming in for cheap labor. And eventually these people stay here 5-10 years. They work their way up. And now they're management roles, getting good paying job, your job. So this is not an issue that could ever be let go. It has to be stuck in American minds like, yo, this is what's happening. And who's the party who didn't give a shit because they didn't care about the actual voters. They cared about staying in power, right? So that's going to be a winning argument for a long time. And the whole idea that you need to reach across the aisle, no, you just need to be smart with the power that's given to you. Your executive order power, everything Trump did. Look what he did to the border. They said he needed an act of Congress. No, he didn't. What was so the lost context when the Democrats said, well, we put a border bill and Trump urged them not to pass it. But their border bill said before they could turn around illegals, they needed to allow 5,000 illegals into the country to get processed a day. Meaning they basically wanted to take everything they was doing and have Congress pass it legally, right? So people who understand that was a bunch of BS, right? So Trump was like, nah, well, Congress won't pass a decent bill, executive order. So you do not need all the, you don't need all of that. Now, I wrote a note here I wanted to touch on. Man, it's sad when you can't read your own handwriting. Across the aisle. What else were they talking about there? Now, the bottom line is that the war, that won't make Trump look good, but Americans, we no longer get our news from legacy media. Even Fox is you could say 60 to 70% is true what they say, not 100% like not 100% lies like the rest of the media. But even still, people aren't even tuning in much to Fox. They're like the older people are, but this new generation who are the newer voters, they're going to social medias and outlets like this. They're following Stephen A. And it's good that Stephen A. is really trying to really learn and understand. The problem Stephen A. is going to have if he ever throws his hat in the ring is he's seeking truth to do things right. And China sends billions of dollars to, I would say Democrat Party, but whoever will make policy that's friendly to them, they send billions of dollars. They have trillions of dollars, put it like this. So you're always facing a corrupt element and forces, and you got to know how to fight that. And sometimes truth doesn't quite fight that unless you're really with the truth. You're really calling out the nonsense. And that means people who you know are suckered into the bullshit, you may have to hurt their feelings and give them the cold hard truth. And if Stephen A wants to throw his hat in the arena, he's going to have to be cold hearted with the truth. You know, he wants to sound smart, so he's waiting, he's listening, and he's saying stuff that he thinks sounds smart, which is wise. But he's not trying to step on any toes yet, right? And yeah, you have to take a side on shit. That's just how it is, because you have too many votes on both sides, and you're either gonna collect all the votes from one camp or the other camp. Saying that, oh, you're gonna create some new party or be in the middle, people aren't running over there. Independents do decide the election, but it's like a 10% of those independents who decide the election. But without the majority of either the Democrats or the Republicans, you're going nowhere. Hey, hope you like the channel. Let's keep this thing rolling. I'm Johnny Caruso. I was your host. You're on the grind with Political Decode. See you next time.